Today's meeting has been posted in accordance with all applicable rules and laws, and so we will call this meeting to order. If you'll stand with me for the invocation. Thank you. Name's not here, so bow your heads and please pray with me. Heavenly gracious Father, God, we thank you for today. We thank you for the opportunities to serve our district. We ask that you be with everyone in this room, from teachers to administrators, employees, parents, and be with our students as they get ready to come back to school this year. We thank you for bringing us safe through the storm. We ask that you be with all those affected. God, we give all the glory to you and ask that you be present here with us in this meeting. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Trent, you mind leading us in the pledge today? Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Okay, item 4, good news. See your Mac and share here.
Yeah, we're here, and I'm glad to see all of y'all. I did not tell you the last time. Thank you for your prayers. It's after we worked to come here. I just told Trent, he asked me how was I doing. I said, the concrete is not afraid. But we got fell on the right side, had to go and get 9 stitches. The next week, I fell on this side of the brick, and it didn't knock me. But I refused to go to the hospital. We took a doctor. But I'm doing fine. I'm here tonight. Thank you for praying for me.
Happy to see you moving on.
Yes. I'm welcome, Mom.
Very good.
Another one just behind the scenes, and they're not all here. We wouldn't want them to stay late, but Rick and Vince are here, and if you could share with your whole team, HR as well. We're completely moved over into Skyward now, and that happened in the midst of everything. And I just thank you and your team for all the extra hours, extra days. Also standing up the Google form for any questions to serve anyone who has questions. And the SMORE letter outlining some information as well. I know that was around the clock, so thank you very much. And I know everyone was just so dedicated when I talked to your team. They're just nose to the grindstone, and they're saying, well, we need to make sure that our folks get paid. And appreciate you guys working through any of the questions that are coming in the new system. So thank you very much. It's a great job.
You're welcome.
It's good to see we did have any significant damage to the district through everything. Did not file any insurance claims.
Yes, sir.
And all that.
Yes, sir.
Delay in school openings or anything. So that's all a big blessing.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
I saw on Facebook today, the Bay City ISD Education Foundation has turned 5 years old. So we've had that organization for 5 years. They've done a lot of wonderful things in the district every year. And so get a chance to support those individuals in that organization. Please reach out and do so. Anything else? Celebration of Excellence. Do we have one tonight?
No, but I'll mention a little bit about it. One of the things that we're preparing for, and we'll roll this out. As you know, we are preparing to launch our first year of the relationship with the University of Houston, Victoria. And so actually the celebration that's coming, we thought we would get to do it tonight, but it will be coming is we're actually going to have a member that is our Grow Your Own and in the University of Houston, Victoria. So we're really wanting to make that extra special to roll that out. And so we're going to push that back a little bit. And we want to have a press release, the whole 9 yards on that. It's very, very exciting news. And Bridget, I don't know if you had anything to add. I don't. If you know, Bridget English is our new chief of communications. And when she came in, a big part of it was employee banquet is, what was it, next week or a day?
Pretty
It
close.
was a great job there, but I know that you're spearheading a lot of our relationships and future celebrations of excellence, and whether it's YMCA student partnerships such as UVH. I know we're going to really promote that piece soon, and so I appreciate your leadership on that and keeping me in tune to where we are, and I think that will be an extra special celebration.
And I didn't say it, but we have a quorum present. So before we get into any action items, we have a quorum present with 5 trustees present. We should get a 6th trustee this evening later. We'll let the minutes reflect when that happens. Audience with patrons, were there any? Very good. Moving on, item 7, LSG board meeting agenda. Tony, how you doing today?
Good, great.
Survived the storm, okay?
I did, yeah. I had one old tree that needed to be cut down anyway, and it just fell right down the yard. But it gave me plenty to do last weekend, and I've actually got a blister on my hand from all that chainsaw work, so yeah. Glad to be here instead of there. Glad to hear you guys didn't have to do it. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna review last month's meeting. And we look at last month's meeting, it was 96 minutes long. When I went back a year ago and started to compare your board meetings now to your board meetings a year or 2 years, 3 years ago, they're like a third of the amount of time. This was you used to spend in the board, really sharpen up and how you handle the business. So congratulations on that. So 96 minutes total, 76.04% of that meeting was spent on student conference. That's fantastic. Really, really good. Getting to the evaluation, I have a 3-month average that will go over. We had 2 goals that were discussed, 2 were on target. We looked at 6 goal progress measures, all were on target. We had 6 present trustees present last month, and 1 was absent. We had 5 consent agenda items, nothing got pulled. And actually, I didn't see any action items on the agenda last month at all. Everything that you had was on consent. And so that was good. When I mean action items, I mean things you actually have to discuss, decide, and vote on. So, very good. So tonight, what we're going to do in our monitoring report, we're looking at the final report for the year on early childhood reading and early childhood math. That's goal 1 and goal 2. And we have 3 goal progress measures for each. And you probably remember that we're looking at kindergarten for GPM 1.1 and 2.1. So we're going to have Lisa Howard present that material. And then following her will be Marissa Waddell. She'll be talking about 1.2, 1.3, and 2.2 and 2.2. So I'm going to pop that up on the screen and let you work presenting their data. Just looks pretty good to me.
Good afternoon.
So 1.1 is our percentage of candidates who score at meets or above grade level 1. In September, we were at 35% with a 20% increase. Over that, we were that in May, when we processed our scores, we were 58% overall. The categories are broken down beside white from 40 to 75, African American 45 to 28. 2 or more races is really that's a small numbers group. There's 7 of that. So one student moves, significant change. There wasn't a significant change there, but 71 to 89. Economic disengagement 31 to 5. Special education 14 to 30. immersion other districts for. Middle here, so you got a taste of what it's like. It is, again, it's something that's very difficult for our students because of that speed factor. It's not, it's just there's a processing issue there. Not necessarily like a learning deficiency, but just the students don't talk quickly and they don't recite these things. And so, my personal goal is for us to be at 60. We came in just shy of that, so it's a little disappointed there, but I do feel like we did that good.
Met the goal and exceeded it. So.
So, questions about that?
Y'all speak 2028.
And so, it's a moving target every year because we never know where kids are going to come to the spot. Unfortunately, I was out quite a bit of people with some health issues. For partnerships and just partnering with them. That will be a title next year so that we can strong place. What will happen is we should see our beginning of year scores higher, which means we just have one really hard, but I would much rather see it start stronger. Going back to one is same measure on mathematics. September we were at 9% for math, and we ended the year at 52%. So we did have a significant increase there. We are at our August 2028 there. But our Hispanic from 10 to 51, white from 12 to 59. African American from 3 to 46, 2 or more, 14 to 67, economic disadvantage 7 to 48, special ed from 9 to 0, and EV from 0 to 33. And here the special education from 9 to 0 is that speed, how fast they have to be able to get through that in the beginning of the year. If they get to 10 to 20 to 80 points at the end of the year, they don't get points, so they need to hire number, and that's, it's just, they don't get there. We can test all of our special education students to really are self-contained. And so that is your baseline is pretty high. It's something to consider here. Questions on that?
Give the board an update also, since it's definitely on topic, and Ms. Howard mentioned it. We've done our site visits on the pre-K partnerships, and so the pre-K partnerships, just to kind of catch everybody up. One of the new initiatives that came out of a recent legislative session was that districts can partner with pre-K schools, daycare schools to serve pre-K students that would otherwise be not eligible in some cases for pre-K. The district can receive some of the ADA from this partnership, and there's approximately 6 indicators that students can qualify for pre-K for. And of those indicators, through this partnership, a couple of the daycares here qualify. You have to be it's Lone Star, is it? Rising Star certified. And through that process, you can receive significant upfront funding for your daycare. I want to say about $25,000 for significant one-time contribution. Plus, then we can do the pass-through funding with them on the students that we serve. We'll be bringing that full information. I just want you to know that is not sitting still. We just want to be careful, cross all the T's, dot all the I's on the pass-through funding. And we've been reading, Elizabeth, I know you've been a big part of this as well. We've been reading memos of understanding that we will bring to the board. We're trying to look for the best structure that benefits everybody. Our top goal is not the funding piece. The top goal is kinder readiness. And the daycares have a robust curriculum already. One of them even uses our screener already. So when we talk about LSG, they already use the same screener we do. And so it looks very promising, and we hope to have that up and running soon and bring that to you in the next week. Really exciting stuff to get that kinder readiness stuff, community partnerships, the whole 9 yards. I think it's great. So thank you, Lisa. Appreciate it so much. Thank you for being here. Take care.
Good evening, Commissioner. Not to talk too fast, because I know last year y'all gave me a hard time, but when I get up here, it's just part of my, I just get passionate and it just, blah, 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 so I'm gonna try to slow down here. But anyway, I'm very excited to be here this evening to share this with you. But with our first graders this past year, looking at goal 1.2, you can see that at the beginning of the year, we did start out with all of our pops with 20%, and so we ended the year at 52%. So we definitely exceeded our 20% goal that we had set there, as well as we did surpass our goal for 2028 there. I will just tell you, first grade, man, it is just, they come in and it's rocking and rolling, and there's just so many different things that we have going on that are great. And then we get to second grade, there's so many other things that we add to it. So a lot of times in second grade, we start seeing our scores kind of decline a little bit. But I'll talk about the second grade in a second, but I do just want to highlight some important growth. If you look at our Hispanic from the beginning to the end, we went from 19 to 55, and our white, we went from 28 to 50. In our African American, 16 to 39. And our multi-race went from 8 to 45. Our economically disadvantaged went from 16 to 47. Our special education went from 9 to 26. And then look at that, ED went from 18 to 66. And I will tell you, our TELPAS scores this year were higher than we have seen in a very long time. And so we know that those boot camps that we had on Saturdays that Ms. Allen facilitated with our bilingual staff definitely paid off. We've already allocated funding to make sure that we continue this next year. Right now, Dr. Pronto and Ms. Gomez and all of them are heading home from another ED conference that they're currently at. Talking to Ms. Allen just last night, she was super excited about some things that she's already taken away. So, I mean, they're already running and looking at ways that we can improve that this upcoming year. So, super excited and proud of our first grade meeting there. Now, when we look at, I'm sorry, too quick. Okay, when we look at second grade, we did not meet our goal we missed it by a couple points. We went from 42 to 56. With that being said, I will tell you that this is higher than we were last year. We are a couple percentage points higher than we ended the year. So I'm very confident in the students that are going to Ms. Flores' campus this next year. But with that being said, these are just the foundation skills that you're seeing. This testing, this is not inferencing, this is not genres, this is not comprehension, this is not fluency. This is just a small picture that, that we use because it's easy for us to be able to look at campus to campus, and it's just easy for us to also pinpoint for our teachers because they have to have the foundational skills for sure, no matter what. But there's so many other attributes that definitely go in to our students. I will tell you, I sat in meetings with Mr. Townsend and the other district facilitators, and I never really got to talk too much in detail with Ms. Flores about it, but I know that they celebrated a few times. They said that the third graders did come in more prepared this past year than they had seen over the past. So to me, that speaks volumes. Very excited. I will tell you, this group right here, I am not worried about their behavior. I'm not worried about them one bit. They are so awesome. I mean, I'm very excited for Tenny Holmes and the students who are sitting this upcoming year. They are definitely one of a kind. We did not have hardly any severe discipline whatsoever. The couple that we did have some that we did put through the RTI process for tier 3, it's because I've already reached out to Ms. Perez, their counselor, and said, hey, I need this kid to establish a relationship day 1, if not sooner. Maybe we need to do some summer visits, because if we can catch a couple of them at the door and know that they have that person like they've had the past 2 years, they're going to be fine, but they have to know that they have that person. Because if they don't, then you might have other problems. But academically, these teachers have done a lot. Also, we were at a disadvantage. We didn't have instructional coach this past year, and so Ms. Allen and I picked up a lot of pieces. So with Ms. Allen and I and Mr. Bryant and everyone, I am so proud of the growth we did see in everything. We had brand new, really great reading. We had brand new Hegarty, still implementing our HNH. So we had a whole new we still exceeded where we were the year before. So these teachers, I'm very, very proud of them. They know that every year we are always looking at second grade saying, okay, what else can we do to make sure that they're ready for Ms. Flores? And so I'm very confident and excited for this group to move on, even though we were so close there. So we did still see growth across the board, definitely. Hispanic 37 to 55, white 61. We did see a decrease to 59 there. African American 38 to 48. Our racial we had 50 to 86. Our economically disadvantaged 37 to 49. Our special education 10 to 14, and then again our EDs 28 to 45. So again, proud and excited to see where they can go next year with Ms. Flores. Any questions about reading? Moving on to our first grade math. So look at math. Math is just one of those, you just keep building on top of it. So once they come to us, and a lot of times we've talked about alignment, I'm super excited about this because we've been talking about this since I've been in AP, and actually when I was a coach at Cherry, I don't know, 6-7 years ago that I was at Cherry, we kept talking about alignment, and we need to get together, blah, blah, blah. We just kept saying it, and now Mr. Townsend, we have sat down, Ms. Flores and I, with Ms. Howard, have actually sat down, we've nailed down dates, we actually have nailed down that we're gonna put it in all of our PEs. We actually finally have a plan and everything. So we are very excited that our first grader teachers will be meeting every PE time with kindergarten, and then our second grade teachers will be meeting with third grade, because we have not had that in the past. So I am very, very excited to work with Ms. Flores and Ms. Howard so that our teachers can really communicate, because they haven't been afforded that before. So the fact that we're going to have that in every PD day that we have, I think is going to really help us get growth there. So again, first grade math, they went from 9 to 52%. Astonishing, even at the middle of the year, they had already exceeded their goal. And I told them, you can't go back, you got to keep going because you know it is a moving target. And so they knew, they took the challenge, and they surpassed it. So you see our Hispanic went from 10 to 51. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one there. So it was 13 to 49 overall, Hispanic 13 to 53, white 22 to 44, African American 2 to 33, triracial 17 to 70, economically disadvantaged 12 to 50, our special education 6 to 13, and then our EDs 15 to 65. And again, I just think that bilingual teachers do an excellent job. And so super proud of all of them, but it's not just the bilingual teachers, there's other teachers that at tutorials, we're splitting those kids up and giving them different opportunities. Even we had summer school kickoff this week, and we didn't want those students just to stay with the bilingual teachers. We actually went ahead and dispersed them with other teachers because they can definitely learn and engage with other teachers since we do speak all English in our classes. Any questions with first grade math? All right, moving on to second grade math. At the middle of the year, they had not met their goal yet, so they were like, all right, we accept this challenge. So by the end of the year, they did definitely exceed their goal, going from 18 to 40%, Hispanic 18 to 41, white 28 to 41, African American 6 to 32, our triracial 15 to 43, our economically disadvantaged 16 to 36, our special education 6 to 13, and our EDs 21 to 55. And before I ask questions about this one, I just want to tell you, and I'm trying to stick to the script, but I want you to know just a little bit more though, that we have like great things happening and going on, like with the attendance. We have definitely taken that as a mission for all of us. Even the new hires that I've talked to, you know, I've told them, we've talked about it. I kind of gave their ideas. One of them is coming from a district right down the road, and we just kind of already brainstormed some things that we can bring in and do. I would say that our parent liaison, like we are already super excited about what it's going to change and how we're going to place her more in the front so she can be more of a face of the school and have better communication. Not that she can have great communication, but I mean, we just need her at the forefront of the school more often and everything. So we already have some plans for how we're going to move her and utilize her. And she's already kind of taken that on as a challenge as well. I do invite if anybody is wanting to come on August 3rd, Saturday. We are going to have a tour of the campus is how we're going to kind of word it. We're going to do 3 different sessions at 10, 12, and 2, where we're going to invite parents and families onto the campus. If anyone would like to present LSG, I have no problem sticking some slides in there. If anyone, I welcome the document, if anyone wanted to come and present or talk about it. But our goal is to talk about attendance. We never get the time to talk to our parents about attendance. We don't really get to talk to them about our standard-based report cards in first grade. We have our parent nights, but golly, you only have so much time that you can spend, and we always have Mr. Robinson come in, and there's just never that opportunity that we get. Meet the teacher night is too busy, they want to meet their teacher, they want to go home, it's the night before school starts. So we feel like this 2 hours, and we've already told our parent liaison as well, she's gonna be there as well to help support us and everything. But while we said we were selling it, because a lot of the first grade parents, they're coming from Cherry, they think this is a big school, their kids, they're worried, so we figured that if we can kind of, entice them to come tour the campus and get to know it, but we can also catch all these other things that we don't have the time. So very, very big on attendance this year, as everyone is in the room. And then again, like our tutorials, we don't, just because a teacher was absent, we never canceled tutorials. That was something that we just made sure that we kept going no matter what. Between Ms. Allen and I had the same urgency with my first and second grade teachers as I did as a coach at Cherry when I was pre-K through 5. The same is my urgency for data and for success of our students has never changed and never will. And so even our teachers, they have the same goals. Like how I have my goal for Dr. McCaslett, and I have my goals for you as LSG, or LSG, our teachers have the same one, and at the end of the year, they have to sign a piece of paper that says where they were at their goal, and so every single one of them, I added to the GMAC, and it's just something that we track because everyone needs to be held accountable, so that there is a success that Timmy holds the junior high and the high school. So, Ms. Allen and I are just looking at different things, like last year, our walkthroughs, we were in a classroom for 450 times that are documented walkthroughs. That's not the other times that we were in there just because. That's where we want to be. We don't want to be in our office for sure. So that's where the breakthrough coaching has definitely helped with scheduling that and making sure that we're in the classroom. So that's where our love is. And then I can't help but tell y'all, like the conferences, like I do put a lot of my time, not a lot, some of my time towards conferences. And I have to give Elizabeth and Amy a huge kudos because they don't always, and first of all, Vince and Rick, thank you for making sure our paychecks hit the bank account because that's important. But Amy and Elizabeth don't always get their kudos. And so this summer I went to a safety conference and I was there almost a week and it took a week out of my contract. God, things that I learned and to find out what our district is already doing that other districts aren't doing, it is amazing and I'm very proud to be here. I'm very proud to work for BCISD. Even one of the Elevate conferences I was at, a lot of the things that they were presenting, we're already doing, and so it just makes me feel proud of it. I feel like we're above that trend, we're already doing things that everyone else is still learning and everything, so without these opportunities though, I don't think we would get that time to continue to grow, and our teachers love it, and I'm never gonna send my teachers to a conference that I can't go with them, because I want to make sure that they're implementing whatever they're learning and everything, so I just want to thank everyone, Dr. Mack and Mr. Townsend and George for always supporting us with that. With that being said, any other questions?
What was that date?
It's Saturday the 3rd, 10, 12, and 2.
August 3rd.
Yes.
Saturday.
Yes.
You have a constraint that deals with attendance. That would be a perfect opportunity for a board member to complement what Ms. Wendell's going to be focusing on too.
And if anyone wants to, you'll just let Dr. Mack know and we can definitely add it to it. It's just our time to just want to get our parents to understand intervention starts first thing in the morning. I cannot have these kids coming in late every single day. They're missing the most important time that is instructionally focused to their, like, I don't think they understand. They think that still they're babies and we can keep them home and all those different things. Oh, we have a call. It's like, no, guys, they've got to be in our classrooms to learn. And I just think we gotta get back focused. I think COVID kind of hurt that, and so we just need to get back to where we were.
Thank you for facilitating also in the same thing with attendance being so critical. Thank you for facilitating me. Last board meeting, we amended the calendar to address attendance, and I think it was awesome. It's going to be great. Thank you for getting me in the room, and so we can have that conversation about fair and work together. And so I thought it was a great conversation. We talked about community partnerships with pre-K. It's the same thing with attendance and the fair. So thank you for setting that up. I appreciate it.
Right, and absolutely, and Dr. Beck also, like, you don't get the kudos, the things that you and Mr. Townsend and Jordan have shared with us, we've never seen before. Like, to know how much money we lost on the day of the solar eclipse is just astonishing. Like, I don't think like that was just, we've never been given, I mean, I've never seen it before. And so y'all bring so much data to us and everything, and even today with Jordan, I was like, wait, how did he do that? he was going, Dr. Mack was going so quick that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need like a 3-hour tutorial in that 2 minutes that he just did. But I just feel like we've been given so many new insights and opportunities to basically see that we did not have previously.
I know y'all are waiting for me to comment on the African American students. Let me tell you, kudos to y'all. I'm forward to really come up, and I had a sense that they will, because the programs that y'all put on, parents are there. I mean, they are there. So I appreciate both you and Teeny Hawk, Cherry. I remain to Teeny Hawk, but those two I have babies at.
Your babies are going this next year, so you'll be there.
I have 10 at Cherry and 1 at Gillespie.
Well, I think the data speaks for itself, doesn't it? It's absolutely incredible. You look at, consider the fact that we're not talking about comparing the same kids year after year. We're looking at program growth. And so we hit almost, not only we hit almost all of the overall all student numbers, but also the subjects, different, almost every subgroup hit the all student goal for the year. There was only a few that did not. So I really compliment those principals, and also Dr. Mack, I want to congratulate you and thank you for working on the school readiness in the community. Basically, it's going to make a big difference over the years as we see students being better prepared to hit the door in public school. It's just going to make such a difference to our outcomes. And so I told y'all I would use an example. Last night I was in Calhoun County and I made this presentation to them, the orientation session. And I used some of your data as examples. And there's going to be a Lone Star Governance District next year too. So the next thing that we have to mention to you is that on Monday, we had planned on doing a reboot of our goal progress measures. And so if that date still works out, Dr. Mack and Chris, Monday at 1 o'clock, we can get together and meet and look at all of our assessments and our goals and reevaluate, not the goals, but goal progress measures, and make some suggestions to bring to the board at another meeting, maybe in August.
So that piece, Tony, just want to make sure, that was the part we all sat in here last year, correct, Tony, where we were in this room?
Yes, we take a couple of hours with the whole team, with all the principals and Chris and yourself, and after that, I'll hang around and finish the template out, get it ready, so that we have everything ready to present to the board.
And for the board, please feel free to shoot me an email on GPMs as far as, we want to make sure that when we're presenting this, that it's linear, it's really well communicated. And so this is an opportunity, for me at least, last year being my first year to kind of look at GPMs for the first time. I'm excited to look at the GPMs this next time because I think there's so much that we could look at, but obviously I want to get opinions of the experts who are on the ground and on the front lines. But I think there's a lot of targets for opportunity as far as the data we share with the board and the GPM. So looking forward to that.
Look forward to it. So if 1 o'clock still works, I'll be here. A little early, we'll get started. So tonight we have a board evaluation. We're going to run through this. Last time we did this was in April. We scored a 72. When I went through the whole evaluation, I got all the data together for you on items that we need to average. Remember, this is just for the last 3 months. This isn't a reflection of the whole year, but it's for the last 3 months. So when you look at Vision Goals 1, where do you rate your district? Okay, and what is it that you think keeps us from being at masters?
I know that I haven't committed all of the goals in their work. So I'm not gonna ask everybody else if they have. Yeah, Trevor was the first one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah. So
Are there any boards that have done that?
no.
Oh.
And you guys are further ahead on the issue of broad community ownership of your goals, you guys have done made a lot more effort in that direction than most of the districts I work with. But I would say there's always room for improvement. Getting the message out about what your vision is for your students and what your goals are. And it doesn't have to be rocket science. You don't have to get into all the deep data. You just have to be ready to talk about what the board's trying to accomplish with this process. And you've made tremendous growth over the last few years. And all your systems seem to be firing together. I mean, when you have 12 graduates in a district your size that get an associate's degree and walk out of here, and then next year you're gonna have more than that, I mean, that's really a tremendous step in the right direction. So, okay, so we're gonna say, does everybody agree on needs focus on goal number one? Does anybody disagree with that? Okay. So then on number two, that's vision and goals 2. This is the board has adopted goal progress measures aligned to each student outcome goal. Now, last time you only scored 1, but remember we had some goal progress measures that didn't have annual targets. That has been corrected. So where do you think you stand now?
I think the question boils down to, we answered yes in the past, that there's broad community ownership of it because of the work that we've done, and if everybody still feels that way, I think it's 15, otherwise it's 12.
What has been accomplished in the last 3 months towards that goal? That would be like April, May, June.
I've slept since then. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
I can't prepare to share all the ones that were scheduled.
Yeah.
I really got a lot on the plate. Okay.
When I went through this, I thought it was probably needs focus.
Right. Yeah.
So, does everybody agree on needs focus? It's kind of where I had this time. Okay, that's a well. All right, when we look at the next area, this is progress of account, or what is vision goals 3. The board has adopted constraints. And so last time you scored yourself a 10 on that, master's focus. Where do you think you fall this time?
Well, if we don't get the broad community ownership piece, then where it meets.
Yes. How many of you agree that you're at meets this time? Okay. When I look at, there's a couple of you that turned this in ahead of time. We had Priscilla with 10, and we also had Laura Beth with a 3. Felt like you were lower than that. But I was looking at it, I was thinking these focus. So that's 9. Then if we go to the next item, that's vision goals 4. Last time you scored yourself a 5. Scored masters, right? Same kind of thing. So we think we're at 8 soon. Yeah. Does anybody disagree with each focus on vision goals 4?
I think the teachers, not us, but through their communication to us, they are working hard to convey their vision and goals. And I found myself looking around when I go to campus, what they doing, what they doing, and they able to answer. But I stay with you. We are shooting for math, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of room for growth here, as far as getting the message out about the board's vision and goals. I think you're exactly correct, Priscilla. If you look at what the teachers are doing, the work you're doing here at the board is definitely trickling straight down into the classroom. Just right now. You see the enthusiasm your principals have for it, and the work that they're doing. That rubs off on the teachers as well. It's not being used as a hammer, it's being used as a flashlight. And that's what we strive for. So when we go into progress and accountability 1, You have had a cumulative percentage of time in your last three board meetings at 59.02% of your last three board meetings were spent focused on student outcomes. That is fantastic. Your goal is to have 50%. You only had one meeting where you fell below 60. That one was where we had a little, I think there was some financial discussions that went a little bit longer than normal, but that was 33% even at that. And so 59.02%. So clearly your master's focus here. What do you think? Do you agree? Yeah. That's a very significant item. When we go on to progress and accountability 2, where do you think you score on this one? Yeah, and you'll probably always be needs there unless you drop in some area because you don't evaluate the superintendent exclusively on the results of student outcomes. You also look at other factors, which I don't have another district in Region 3 that does it any different. So you'll always be right there. So that's a 4. Okay, and we go to systems and processes. Next item. Last time you were master's focus, and I just got to ask, have you gotten your board book April, May, and June? Have you gotten it 7 days in advance? No, it's getting it 7 days in advance. Okay, there's not any significant changes. 3 days in advance. Less than 3 days.
There are occasions like when we're starting a school year, and when we get the student code of conduct, right, we can't launch the year without it. Yeah. So I think 4 days out, maybe, but I think it was 4 days out. Talking to TASB, and said, recommended changes on student code of conduct, and so that will be an annual thing. Of course, next year will be bigger with a legislative care. There will be some updates, but just total transparency there.
Is that in this month?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that'll be for the next quarter.
Okay.
Yeah. So this doesn't include tonight.
Okay.
It would have been June, May, and April. That quarter is what we're looking at. So I appreciate your transparency on that. We'll have to remember that next time. When I look at it asks you on meets focus and master's focus if you like how long your meetings are. Your average length of your meetings in the last 3 months, even with all the financial discussions, was 1.72 hours, 1 3/4 hours. But that doesn't include closed session or workshop type meetings, but your regular meeting is 1.72 hours. That's really good. And you're getting your board book out 7 days in advance. So what do you think you score on this? Last time you were master's focus. I would agree on that. Master's focus 15. Okay. Let's go to the next item. That is advocacy and engagement. Where do you think last time you scored yourself masters on this one?
If we follow it, we haven't done anything this last quarter.
Well, but the thing is, notice that on master's focus, it talks about here's where you had two-way communication in the last 12 months.
Well,
So you definitely have qualified with it. And
the letter co-led during a period of 6 months, and I think that virtual one was.
Yeah,
6
absolutely.
months ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could stay.
that's what I thought. When I looked at this, I thought clearly, to me, your master's focus on this. And so, going to the final domain here is synergy and teamwork. Last time you scored a 0 because remember you failed to have a quorum one month. I think it was in January or February, and so that puts you down at 0 for that quarter. But you didn't have that happen this time. It indicates here in approaches and that meets. It says that to be at approaches, you have to have an average attendance by board members of 70%. To be meets focused, you have to have an average of 80%. But your attendance rate for the last 3 months was 76.2% when I look at it. So that puts you at approaches, right? That is very good. Strive to be over 60. So, kudos on that. Let me hand this to you guys and have you pass it down and sign it. If you could just sign it in this block right here. We'll submit that to PDA. So you get your reimbursement, they always look at, did I send it? Here's evaluation, that's one of those things we send. So again, I just want to commend you guys on the work you're doing as a board, as a team, and encourage you to keep up the good work. Next month or the month after, next month, we're going to be focused on CCMR. And so Mary Mosher will be here, she'll be making that presentation. And if we have everything ready to present to you for the next year, as far as the recommended adjustments on GPMs, we may come with some recommendations on constraints. That's all your world. But we'll present that, have a conversation about it. Hopefully we can do it in August. And then we can begin our monitoring in September. That's what we really want to try to do. But again, thank you very, very much.
Tony, I want to mention a couple of things just real quick. I know you did the training for us after our last board meeting, and we went through student outcomes, and you showed the website of comparable schools, and I thought that was a very good conversation that we had. And so, as you said in that meeting, I took some notes there. So in your next board meeting, I have that broken down for every campus. They're comparable schools as it relates to apples, and we're going to make that a part of the leadership as well. So I think when I share that, you're going to see there's some significant data, and when you're looking at apples to apples, you know, it's a good chart.
So I got to ask you, Dr. Mack, does your wife ask you in the middle of the night, what are you looking at on the computer when you're looking at TexasSchools.gov? Because that's what my wife asked me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's either that it will lay there and stare at the ceiling or open up that computer.
Thank you very much.
Tony, also on community ownership, partnership, and goals. We have scheduled our, we have a date for our community and business leaders LSG that we did last year. I thought that was really good. We got a lot of good feedback. We got some requests. Again, we're going to, Ms. English has been working on the year in review that we did. Also along that, doesn't have goals on it, but I'm pretty excited to share whether it's from, great creative idea that Scott and Bridget worked on as far as getting our news out there, our information, the opportunities that Bay City, moving from a city billboard to a mobile billboard with information. And we have this one truck that drives around pretty much all day, right, Scott? And so we said, you know what, why not wrap it and have some information on there? Do y'all want to share anything about that, or where we are in the process? Or that's a last minute thing. I know. I'm so proud of y'all. That's a great idea.
They were here delivering in the warehouse truck today, so I went out and snapped some pictures of that, and then as soon as I can get some, we just got the food service van picked up recently, so I'm going to go take some of them out at our schools unloading, and then I'll be pushing out on social media so that everybody can be looking for them as they're driving through town. But the warehouse truck is basically just highlighting kind of Bay City and the opportunities that we provide for our students, and the career and I guess readiness that we provide for them to graduate with or from. And so and then our food service van is kind of highlighting some of our students that are taking advantage of our food service department and providing them healthy nutritional meals each and every day. So we're excited about them.
And great idea, awesome idea, so many great ideas. And the next one we'll kind of go into also something you brought to the table. So that date that we have scheduled for the summit for community and business leaders is August 1st.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm going to add that to the newsletter. and we're trying to send out calendar invites also. So I think a bunch of those have gone out. Then if you talk to, we're going to piggyback LSG into another of your ideas. Tell us about those campus tours a little bit.
So we're bringing in a Black Cat Campus Spotlight, which throughout the 24-25 school year, each one of our 5 campuses will have a day and a time that the community and parents are invited to come in and go into some classrooms and be able to come back together and just kind of visit about some of the positive things that they saw throughout the campus or throughout the campus and the classrooms. So this is a good opportunity. I know in LSG, Tony had mentioned about getting community involvement and so forth. So this is one of our new things that we're bringing in to kind of start tackling that. So.
And that'll include a little lunchtime, right, where we'll be able to.
Kind of lunch and debriefing over, you know, everybody's, I guess, what they observed throughout the event.
And so if those dates have, I don't know if those have gone out yet, but I know y'all were working on finalizing one day.
We were going to wait till our retreat next week to make sure all of our campus principals are, have a, you know, clarity on what the expectations are of that. And then after that, we'll start to share that. So yes, sir.
That's outstanding. So as we talk about ongoing, I think for this year, I think that takes care of some of the things we just talked about the last 6 months. About we're going to have ongoing, of course, meet the teacher, all those things that we try to target to get our message out. These spotlight, I can't wait to participate in that. That will not be a full, 100 people. That'll be essentially about 15 spots. And so they will be highly sought after. And of course, you all will have one because we can do some LSG work there. And to give them the tour, to have a little bit of lunch, talk about great things, talk about LSG. In addition to the August 1st date, we don't meet in December. And we had the virtual town hall last year around mid-year. We targeted, and this will be in multiple newsletters and invites, December 3rd is the virtual town hall. And prepping for that, we've got a lot of great feedback for that, especially the feedback that I received is on the board being a part of that, going over information, sharing information. It was much appreciated. So we've got those dates down. And I think that's pretty much what at least I have right now. But great idea. Thank you for that. And that ownership is huge.
If you're sending invitations on August 1st, could I get invited? I would love to come to that if I can make it. I put it on my calendar. What time will that be?
I think we have.
Starts at 5:30.
5:30.
I'll try to do it.
Dr. Mack, I did want to include a piece that we have decided to just be able to have an opportunity to share with y'all who our teacher resident is this year. So we are going to have that included at the August 1st. We're also going to have a quick little social so that y'all get to meet Ashley Rodriguez is our UHB teacher resident for this upcoming school year. She's also part of our Grow Our Own. So we're excited to highlight and really just give the opportunity to recognize the great things that are happening here at Bay City. I also know some other additional things that we hope get approved today that we can elaborate over during the community and business summit. So I plan to kind of just have a brief overview of what great things we have going on here, along with some of the recruiting efforts and ways to attract students to come to Bay City and then turn around and have them work for us full time as teachers. So I think it's going to be a great evening with lots of good things happening here, and excited to have the community come out and enjoy all the good things.
I put down December 3rd for the day you're going to do the town hall. Would you mind if I invited all the other districts that we work with to get them to kind of see?
We'll be broadcasting to the world.
I'd like for them to get to see what you do.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you can invite someone, maybe 3 or 4 of us sit with us.
There you go.
District trustee with me. And,
As long as there's only 3 of them.
That's a good point also, because you mentioned, I have to say this, Evan and I we're friends, we get along great, superintendent over at Calvin, but we are now super rivals. So they're in our new district, and I think at every level, they are in our comparable schools on academic outcomes. So I will be giving him a hard time, and we're going to take it to him. And so you can tell him I said, But no, he's great, and I'm so excited that, you see him in district, and I think, and I did this with other principals, not the superintendents, but a little fun competition. Everyone rises to the challenge, so it's good to see them on our comparable schools list. We're looking forward to it.
And Tony, you're so good at commending us, and I have a couple of school districts, with friends on the school board, and they love what you do. So they know that LSG, so kudos.
Pleasure to work with all.
Anything else on G related? Let the minutes reflect that trustee was moved to, and then I need a motion for, approval of LSG. Trustee West has made the motion to approve LSG as presented in board book. Is there a second to his motion? Okay, motion's been seconded by trustee Robinson. Any further discussion of LSG? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. I will turn the meeting.
Sorry for my delay. We're gonna move right into reports. Okay. Thank you for joining us this evening.
One of my favorite districts to come to.
And talk about the new program, economic development program that replaced 13. And so what we have, you have is kind of a comparison of the new program, they call it chapter 403, and they call it JEDI, Jobs, Energy, Technology Innovation Act. So they call it JEDI, or JEDI, I'm not sure what they call it, but anyhow. So I'm just going to run through the comparison. So y'all have several 313 projects, and you're used to getting some benefit from those projects. The JEDI is significantly different. There are some things that are similar. I can't see that board as well, so I'll look my notes here. So it has the same basic structure. It's a limitation, a value limitation for M&O purposes only for 10 years. So it's a 10-year incentive, just like 313 was. It does only apply to M&O. Your INS would still be fully taxable. There is still a property value study deduction, which means because this project's built, when the project's in limitation, only like the 30 million is on this property value study, not the full value. So that's good. That was not very good money. If you had one of these. The school district still must approve. The role of the school district has significantly changed, but your role is now at the very end of the process and basically yes or no. There's still an application fee that the company pays to the district, although that has been significantly reduced to pay for your consultants and the workers. That's how it's still the same. How is it different? Quite a bit. No revenue protection payment, no supplemental payment to school districts at all. So there's no incentive payment, like $100 for ADA, and there's no revenue protection payment. The revenue protection payment is not a huge deal because with current year values, the program would be operated with folks for the district with current year values. You wouldn't lose any money typically. We still always think you should calculate it just to make sure what the impact is on the school district, because if there was something, districts would need to know ahead of time. But there's no avenue for getting any kind of hold harmless payment if there's some weird circumstances. That's been completely removed from statute. Although the language actually says no payments to the school district of any type in connection to the agreement. But internships, like for your kids and things like that, those are okay. Renewables are out. There's no longer any renewable energy in the program. The construction period is not taxed. That's new. In the past, construction was just like any other property. Now it's $0 for M&O for the time of the construction period, which I think has a maximum of 5 years, I think, for construction. Still fully taxed for INS. It doesn't, that's treated just like regular property. No job waivers for renewable energy. We have job waivers, but then we have like jobs. Now there's no waivers at all. The application is submitted directly to the comptroller, you know, it goes to the school district, so that's different. I don't like that at all, because one of the things we're discovering, there's been a few of these, there's not very many, there's been a few. The comptroller district has no idea, and they have not even seen it. Like, we had one, we're working with Brian ISD, they knew it was coming, but they'd never seen the application, they couldn't big it was. I mean, we didn't know anything about it until it got submitted, and when it got submitted, it sits in the comptroller for a while, but they get everything they need in it, and then they'll post it, so it's kind of, I don't like that, I think it should go, district should at least have a courtesy of getting a copy. So hopefully we'll be able to get something changed on things like that. The investment in jobs are now based on county population, and it's based on, if your project's in 2 counties, you have districts that span multiple counties, it's based on the smallest population. And for Matagorda County, I looked at what y'all's population was, it's like 36,000, that would be 10 jobs and a $20 million investment. So that has changed a little bit. Before it was never based on population, it was just set by industrial property in the district and comptroller set these things.
So that's the minimum though.
Yes, that's
But
the
if it's a-
minimum investment, how much
It's
they
a
have.
$500 million investment, it's still only 10 jobs.
Yes, yes. Okay, so how is it similar, not exactly the same, but a little different? The agreement, this is to be a big deal, it's the company, the district, and the government. And so we have 3 people now have to agree on the agreement. The governor is taking the lead on getting these agreements drafted, and that's taking a while, because they've never really done anything like this. So we still don't have the first agreement drafted yet for the first project. They got approved by the comptroller, which was Northwest, which we worked on. And so they'll handle law firm, which is who worked on the Northwest project. They are working together on finding an agreement. We're still not there. And it's approved by the school district back in April. So anyhow, that process is taking longer than I expected. The no value is still taxable value, but it's limited. How they calculate it is 50% of the market value, where in 313 it was a set amount for 10 years, 30 million. Now it's 50% of the market value each year, so that value for taxing purposes, everyone knows that it's going to fluctuate. You're not going to know what it is until the appraisal district does their thing every year. That's way different. So to estimate payments, a lot of times we get estimates. I think I did it for Red. What's the payments going to be this year? Depending on the market value, it makes it hard to know. So it makes things a little bit more tricky. If the project's in what we call an opportunity zone, those are federal opportunity zones that are set up by the Treasury Department, then the taxable value is 25% of the full value, so of the market value. So they have to locate it completely within an opportunity zone in order to get the bigger tax rate. Because it's 50% of the market value, it's not as good an incentive program for companies either. So we're hearing that some of the companies are like, well, maybe we need to make some changes to this program. Manufacturing, still eligible, of course, no renewable. They did add some new types of projects like utility services, natural resources, critical infrastructure, high-tech R&D. So they added to it, but they also removed, renewable energy, which is not good for the rural districts because that's not the types of projects that we typically get. The agreement now must be a compelling factor. One of the criticisms of 313 was there were a lot of people out there who say they would have come anyhow, districts didn't need to grant this or kind of no matter what. So now they try to make that a little bit more strict, that it has to be a compelling factor for getting the agreement and getting the abatement. There are a little bit more stringent job and wage requirements, like the highest job requirement, I think it's like 75, or in 313 is 25. So for bigger counties, the jobs are more. And then luckily, they didn't mess with the existing 313 agreement, right? So we made sure that they put in the bill that the 313 payments would still be calculated like they always were. So that doesn't mean, anybody with existing agreements, they still operate just like they did before. So that's good. We really wanted to make sure that we got the current districts. People who expect the payments, they would pay the price of everything. Right, that's something.
Just not in the slideshow mode, so.
I figured I'd mess these things up. We don't have anything like this in our office. What did I do? Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. The opportunity zones, this is the opportunity zones in the entire state of Texas. And then I zoomed in on where Bay City is. We have, I think, I'm not sure exactly where your school district boundaries are, but it looks like there are some around you. And just depending on if a project came to Bay City where if they put it in the purple, then we would be able to, they would get taxed at 25% instead of 50%. And then those, so it's pretty easy to find the opportunities online. Okay. So I did a sample, project on the impact on Bay City, just assuming $1 billion, so that's an easy number. With your tax rate, 68.50 and minus rate of 35.95. And this just shows how much taxes you could collect if it was, say they did not apply for a jetty abatement, but they decided to build it. There are people building things in Texas without asking for abatements. If it was $1 billion, you would collect 6.8 million, 5 million M&O taxes, which would be the full value on the billion, and INS would be about 3.6 or 10.4. If they were not in an opportunity zone and they applied for a jetty, the 50% incentive would generate for you 3.4 million of M&O and 3.6 for INS, total of 7 million. Those taxes would be treated just like any other taxes. So it's just that they're lower than what the project would normally pay. And then if it's in an opportunity zone, it would be 25%. So they would pay, they should be 250 million, thousand. I knew I left off some zeros on that. Sorry about that. M&O tax would be like 1.7 million, and then INS would be still at 3.6. So you just see how, depending on where they locate, and if they apply or not apply, how much taxes you get. Of course, with equalized funding, you get more taxes, you get less state aid. So, that's why 313 was so nice, because you got the second payments. They were outside.
Even though it's equalized on the M&O side, the INS will immediately reduce the tax burden of the taxpayers.
Yes, that is the one benefit to doing these, because I have people say, why would we want to do these?
Yeah.
And the INS, it is a big enough project, and the district has a lot of debt needs. That can be one of the reasons why people would do it without any incentive. And if you got INS state aid, then you would lose that would kind of offset a little bit. Most districts that I deal with building projects don't seem to get much INS state aid anymore. So what's the process timeline? Goes to the comptroller's office. At some point, they will issue a completeness letter, and then shortly thereafter, they will issue their letter of recommendation. That's the blue part. Once nothing can happen until they issue a letter of recommendation. In the middle part, which I guess is supposed to be kind of orange, the governor and the school district have 30 days from the date of the recommendation letter to decide if they're willing to enter into an agreement or not, based on what the recommendation was from that comptroller's office. For a school district, they also have to post a public hearing, and you have to post it 2 weeks before the 30 days. So you actually have 2 weeks to get a hearing posted and in your newspaper published, and then have a public hearing at the 30 days and have a board vote to say, yes, we're willing to enter an agreement. You will not see an agreement by the 30 days. We still have to make a decision if you're willing or not. So like what we did with Northwest, we got through the process, and that one went real fast. We didn't see the application ahead of time. That company was really good about including the district early on. We saw the application, made changes, recommended changes, that things that we know the comptroller likes. Got through very quickly. Had the board meeting in April. Before the board meeting, we did a financial analysis for the school district, just like we did for 313. Just we wanted to make sure there was no harm for them. And because you still want to make sure, even though the school finance would basically make everything neutral for you. And then the board heard the company came and talked, and they voted yes. They're excited about it. This was a Bell helicopter project, so it was very exciting for them. They were going to have internships for their kids. So they were very interested in doing this. Plus they knew that this would help a little bit. Not a lot, because that's a pretty good district. So anyhow, so that's kind of the process. Then after you say yes, we're willing, you have to get an agreement done, and you have to come back and say, okay, we'll sign it. Because you really don't want to say we'll sign it. It's a conditional, basically a conditional motion, because you really need to see it agreement first before you can ever really sign something and say you approve it. So that would happen at some point. We don't know when the Northwest is going to happen. hoping after that it'll go faster for the other districts. So, and then it just starts building and. So I also wanted to go over where you are now on your 313 projects. Just a reminder, all of them are taxed at $30 million for M&O for 10 years. INS fully taxable. What types of factors can affect any of these payments? Y'all are pretty far into 3 of your projects. You have 3 that haven't started yet. But things that can affect the payments from what we originally estimated, the appraised values are different, which are set by the appraisal district. Your tax rates are compressed. We've seen that a lot. I'm assuming we assume next session more tax rate compression, right? So we're gonna have changes there. And of course, your kids can make a difference if the incentive payment, supplemental payments based on kid counts. So those kinds of things can affect your payments. Yes.
I thought I saw something out just when I was reading through some of the documents. ADA.
Yes.
And I said kids. I want to make sure the
Everybody
difference.
attendance.
So ADA impacts those
Yes.
payments, right?
Yes. And I don't know what y'all, that every district I have talked to has still not recovered from COVID on their attendance. They have enrollment growth, but they don't have attendance growth. So that is still a struggle for every district. So some of them are like, well, why did my payment go down? You're still not catching rate. No, it's just, so it's been hard. It's been surprising how long that has lasted. So when you were talking about focusing on attendance, I can see why. It makes a big difference. Okay, so where are you on the 3 projects that you have that are currently in limitation? And what has happened to those projects over kind of the cycle of them? In the 1028, which is the OQ1, values kind of have slightly increased through 2023, but we expect they're going to start depreciating. But we're talking about barely any increases. So they were fairly constant, increased a little bit. And your payments basically have stayed constant the last few years. It's just your supplemental payment. 1307, which I think is the page one. That one, their values have been depreciating about 7%, but still supplemental payments have still stayed about pretty constant. And then the other one, 1308, sorry, I don't remember what that is. Oh, that's the Air Key. Yes, that one, they've been depreciating about 5% a year, and those payments still stay pretty constant. The reason those are all constant pretty much is because the only thing that's affected is your supplemental payment, because there's no revenue protection payment as the values are decreasing.
So how does it impact the supplemental payment?
If it's a percentage of the savings to the company, then that affect the value going down a little bit to make those. But those values are slightly decreasing, so they kind of go up and down. And sometimes it's 40% or $100 for ADA, whichever is less. And so sometimes it's $100 for ADA. So each one is just a little bit different. But I looked at all your payments and they've been kind of generally in the same range for the last several years. So this is what I estimated for Dr. Monroe for your 2024 payments for those 3 projects. No revenue protection payment. This is still just an estimate. We won't be doing the official estimate or actual official calculations until late August, September, because we have to get certified values, the comptroller final property values come out, compression rate for TPA. So we don't like to say it's a definite number until we get all that information. But basically, your total supplemental payment would be about $137,000. I think that one is a set payment in the agreement. So you definitely get that one. Paying Creek Wind is about $317,000. That may be ADA aggregate limit, which is the sum of the ADAs, and then Air Key is about $156,000. So that this year we're looking at about $600,000 payments from the 315 projects. That money is outside the full finance for wherever you see. That's one of the that's the other benefit. The 313 payments never harmed you with state aid. You never got offset state aid because you got those payments. So there's some districts who have 313 and have some companies who might be interested in it. Oh, sorry, I just.
No, that's the end of the show. Just hit it again. Just hit the button again. It'll come back.
Oh, okay.
We got one more that you kind of there, the project's not.
Yes, but yes, we have that. I'm sorry, I'm apparently. What have I done again? I'm sorry. You're not gonna have me come back and do this. Every time it goes backwards. Yes, okay, these are your projects that are not in limitation yet. Rome America, that one, originally was intended to start implementation in 2029. I told Rick that I had a call with, the Walsh attorney who said Rome had indicated, or they kind of wanted to maybe move the limitation up to 2025, but I had not heard anything else about that. So Rick was gonna call, the attorney to check on that one. The estimated payments, for those three projects, right now, we just got updated information from the companies on lighting report control requires, so I used whatever we had gotten. I updated the payment schedule, so and they typically are to update your projections for values. Sometimes they don't change them, they're still the same, but we had back on the original application, sometimes. So Rome America, over the life of the agreement, we said about $324 million revenue protection payment. Supplemental payments would be close to $4 million for $7.5 million, or $7.4 million total payment. Just an estimate, not the actual numbers, so don't budget those numbers. Evergreen Renewables would start in 2028 limitation, revenue protection would be about 1.5. Supplemental would be about 2.4, or about 3.9 million total. And then RWE Renewables also would start in 2028, 925,000 revenue protection, 1.7 million supplemental payment, and 2.7 total payments. So those three projects that are starting in the future, total would be about $13.9 million. Those numbers are just estimates because tax rates are going to go down. Project values will probably be different, but that's what we know today. Hopefully it would be in the ballpark, give or take, million. But just so you can see that those are your big projects. The other projects are not as big. And these are some of the big and there are some good plans for your future. That's a lot of things can happen. Multiple legislative sessions. We don't know what they're going to do at all.
Total payments are over 10 years, right?
Oh, that's the life of the agreement.
Right.
So the revenue protection payment is over the 10 years with the limitation amount. The supplemental payments typically are either mostly during the 10 years, or you can get some payments inside and outside the limitation years, depending on the agreement, how it's written. But it's all over. And the agreements typically last about 15 plus years from the day you sign it till they expire. Well, that's not true. 5, 15, about 17 plus years. Because they have to maintain a viable presence for 5 years after the limitation expires. So that's all of those. There's too many numbers to try to show you all of them right here. I've noticed people have, my eyes glaze over with that many numbers, so I can see why they're. And I think that's my last slide.
Does anyone have any questions?
Kathy, on, quick question. Just want to make sure on the 313s, like, the asterisks, we've been talking about ADA, drop-in value, the amendments we've done on job creation. On the J agreements, so when we see that, there's not a supplemental payment, there's none of that, and there's a tax break. There are loopholes, so this, for example, state share, right?
Yes.
I know you're the expert, so please correct me as I go, but for state share, when the state is making up it, if we fail to collect 100% of our taxes, the state doesn't kick in the amount that we're entitled to, correct? They say you have to collect 100, or is that different?
If you don't collect your local share, the state doesn't make up your local share.
Right, and so that's exactly it. Yes, so
Now, yes,
that's what I just worry about loopholes, because now that there's not a payment,
right.
any of those changes that happen behind the scenes, so the M&O is coming at a 50%, 25% incentive, but if something falls short, that's just my worry, and I don't know if there's been any talk about that, to where if something goes wrong, how are we protected for the station?
I will say that right now we have this question with the Northwest Agreement. The governor, because they are taking the lead, and the statute is got a lot of wishy-washy things in it, and how, so it's a question how you interpret, right? And I've seen, state agencies that will say, you can't interpret it this way, yet then they turn around and interpret something else different, right? So I'm always skeptical when they say the law says so. But anyhow, that's just me. So we asked that question about, especially in terms of like a default, if they default, that if the comptroller puts the full value back on the roll, you don't get the taxes recouped, right? Because of how this thing is worded. It hurts districts, right? The higher value is gonna give you less state aid, but you're not gonna get any taxes to make up for that. So we've asked that question, and we have not yet gotten a resolution on that. But that is a great concern for like the handling all time. Trying to get that resolved.
And I have one more, probably a little bit outside of
No,
that.
that's okay, that's okay.
But, we're just so concerned these days about meeting, our local values, meeting state values. Is there a best practice that we should be doing, monitor, checking? Because if, when you fall outside of that, that's another example of the state will just drop you.
Yes.
And you lose all that money,
Yes.
so.
So this actually came up at my board meeting last night as well. Appraisal districts are a big, appraisers, I think, are a big concern. The biggest, what the answer was that your biggest leverage is the fact that you get to vote on the board of directors for the CAD, and the board of directors hires the appraiser. So you want the board of directors to put pressure on the appraiser to be more in line with the state values. And one of the ways that the CAD can do that is apparently the comptroller buys market value data from some corporation or company, and the appraisal district could buy, or the CAD could buy that same data so that they would sort of be starting at the same point to help make them align better with what the state is. So that was kind of the recommendation last night, that you work with your board of directors and you have a vote on it, and then these other entities, taxing entities, and then Matador County to also kind of help you with that, because whatever they're doing to you guys, they make them to other schools, right? And so you want to all kind of go together to see if you can get put the pressure to see if the board would then direct the appraiser. We need to be more aligned with the state.
On the market value data, is that a relatively expensive?
That I don't know.
Okay, we'll look into it, but
Yeah,
that's.
yeah, I should try to find out who they, we can find out who they use, who the guy comptroller uses, where it comes from. The fact we were talking about today, and the guy was talking because I don't remember who it is, but it's, you know, they get basically MLS type data. And I don't know who it is to get it from, but I can try to get the name of that. That's kind of the biggest, that's your biggest way of,
Questions?
All right, thank you so much. We
You're
appreciate you for
sorry
joining us.
about my technology issues.
Okay, it's all right. All right, moving on to item B for reports, the BCISD special programs request for proposal process.
I'll start that off, Rick, before I hand it off to you, just real quick, and, this is, okay, I thought you were heading up here, you look like a man on a mission. Okay, no, thank you. And thank you, Kathy.
Thank you so much.
Gentlemen, any other questions, just let me know.
Sorry about that. So, Vince will lead us through, this part on questions and whatnot. As you recall, when we went through the budget season, the really significant shift of staffing costs from traditional employee special education staff to contracted services. You may remember that was huge. It was a gigantic swing. What we're encountering is, of course, anytime there's an expense over $50,000, we're going to bring that to you. The unique situation that we found ourselves is, and I may have mentioned this to you all before, is that these assessment people, whoever is involved with special education, they're starting to move to these private companies that contract them out. Well, now it's going even further to, I would imagine there's more of a financial incentive if they have their own company, there's so much work. So that creates a lot of vendors because they're all on their own. And when it comes to special education services, we cannot have a lapse. And so tonight, we want to share with you a little bit of how we do that process. And then based on that information, because there's so many things around, we will probably, and that you can put, we'll probably end up approving multiple vendors so that we don't have the breach in special education services, because we're quickly eclipsing the 50, well, you're going to eclipse the $50,000 threshold every time you bring home. So I just wanted to explain how that has been a constraint. we want to make sure that we're transparent with the board with our RFP process.
We're doing a lot of contract. Business. Do we not have people in this?
No, ma'am, they're leaving districts to go private. It's more lucrative for them.
In our contract is making more than say our
LSSP and different assessment. What we're seeing, and Dr. Toronto and I had some conversations with Mr. Townsend, sat in a couple of them. And so, yeah, we're seeing that there's a lot of variance there. It started off, they would go to the company to where they're not getting all the money, right? The company's getting some of the money to contract them out. Now, what's kind of exacerbating the problem is to keep all that money for themselves, which I'm sure is lucrative. They're creating their own company themselves. And so it's just.
So is there anything that we can do to keep those people? I was just talking to one, and they're upset because the people that come in to do work, they're making more. They are testing them for working for them. So we're not coming.
It turns into a revenue that we come in and the amount we can pay out for salaries and wages. So those are very specialized positions. And so you're not going to get in a competitive bidding war over many positions. That is one that is incredibly highly sought after. All those are. They're mandated by federal law. And so public school systems really don't have leverage to negotiate against them setting their own price. And then you get into that whole, if you start to negotiate every hire within special education, it's probably going to be a significant administrative job to track all the salaries. As soon as you award one, now it's compared to the other, the next thing you know, you're going up and up and up. And so it's a tough spot that we're in right now. And they do hold the cards, so to speak, because of the need for the service. But that comes down to the same thing every time. It comes down to salaries, money, and state funding versus private funding. It's always.
Yeah, just a little further comments on that, like Dr. Mack said, yeah, I think that's our threshold we have to make sure that we're staying under, especially when it comes to contracted services. We got our interim audit in May, something that the auditors helped us identify. We made sure we looked over, worked through the processes, they put us in the the right path. Of course, guidance on that because it's a little unique. You're not just awarding RFP one company, you're awarding to one in particular that that came up in during the audit was the staffing agency. It's pointing contractors over to the district. So what we did is we outlined the criteria that we used to select those contracted services. Dr. Brown was not here tonight, but I did have the opportunity to speak with her. She was trying to select contractors on a basis of could they provide services in person versus virtual. Because of COVID, everybody has also, not only are they leaving school districts for different reasons like pay or something like that, but they're also leaving for convenience. Is what we're seeing is the trend that we're seeing in that industry based on the feedback that I received from her. So a lot of folks are trying to provide those services via remote, could be somewhere else. And so not only are you incurring the cost of that, but you're also having to pay a proctor to take a student out of class, bring them to sit in front of the monitor, escort them back to class, make sure they're paying attention, so on and so forth. So those are added costs that we discussed during the budget season. So there's that part. That was the first criteria. Next was clinical versus educational experience, and then after that, the third level criteria that she had was grade level experience. She could find someone who would work specifically with a particular grade level. Someone a student at Lindy Roberts or a student at Multis or something like that, junior high. So she was looking based on age specific. Those are just the three criteria I always wanted to share with you guys that she was using. She did reach out to multiple staffing agencies, multiple vendors, contractors, just stuff like that, just to make sure that she was trying to cover all of the bases. But the guidance that we received from the auditors was to launch an RFP. And we're still just, she also mentioned that she had some experience with that from her former district, was trying to get a copy, of one of those. So we necessarily have to.
And I can expand on that, because that's a great question. So what a private company doesn't have to pay for, they do not have to pay for high cost funds when we put a student into a residential facility. And just one student, how much, you remember how much that was for one student? Would be, it's astronomical. Yes, it was like 260. Yeah, it was 260,000, so they don't have to pay that, we do. So that comes out of, and it doesn't come out of our special ed allotment because it costs above what we're given. So you kind of see how I'm saying, there's no way we can compete because we're paying for things they don't pay for. And in that vein, when we talk about the high cost funds, we did get our high cost funds. The state issued them. We paid 260,000. The rebate from the state was less than 10. So, and I do, you know, we have these discussions because it's a great question for an individual to say, why can't we compete? Because this is one of a slew of what we refer to as unfunded mandates, the things we have to pay for, the private industry doesn't have to pay for or to make up. So that was a great question, and that one just hit us, and I was shocked at how low. You may remember from the last board meeting, I talked about a grant that Dr. Parato wrote herself at a value of $50,000 that she wrote a grant for, and the high cost fund of $260,000, the reimbursement was less than 10. And so those are the things that really we have to pay for those services.
It's hate to lose good people to another school district. So the agencies are making more. And, you know, like, everything.
Any other questions? Right, thank you, sir, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Moving on to our consent agenda, is there anything that anyone would like to remove from our consent agenda? All right, hearing none, do I get a motion for the approval of consent agenda as written in order? All right, there's a motion on the table, is there a second to the motion? All right, we have a second. Down at the end, any further comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All right, moving on to executive session. We're going to convene into closed session. Personnel matters if necessary may be taken in closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074 to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, resignation, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, including contract recommendations for campus and district level administrators and teachers. The time is 7:32, and we'll move into closed session. approval of hiring contractual personnel. Is there a motion to be made?
Make a motion to hire contractual personnel as presented in ordinance.
All right, there's been a motion. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any conversation? Thank you, Scott, for your service to Bay City ISD. We truly appreciate you.
Part of the
Great things.
That's what we're gonna get on his shirt.
All right. All right, hearing, no more conversation, no more comments, all in favor? Aye, opposed, motion passes 6-0 in our last, item for the night, adjournment. Is there a motion to be made? All right, is there a second to the motion? All right, we have a first and a second, any further conversation? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye, opposed, motion passes 6-0. We will adjourn at 9:08.